Hi there. You sent me the text, and I'm going to quote the text. I've also seen your videos, but I'm going to quote the text and answer them because it was easier to reply to them. First quote on DNA. It is a fact that all of the living things are similar, but there are two interpretations to this fact. Interpretation A, they are similar because they all evolved from the same organism. And B, they are similar because they have a common designer. These two interpretations can be made from that one fact, and both interpretations are based on assumptions, therefore none of them are scientific. This is wrong because only one of them is not scientific, and that's the creation, the common designer idea, the assumption. Basically, it is untestable. If you say there's a common designer, then you have no basis to test it on. Evolutionary theory, though, makes predictions. It says every creature will have this link in their DNA with all other creatures, meaning if they don't find one of those links, then it automatically falsifies the evolutionary theory of DNA, meaning that it is testable and falsifiable. The common designer point is not, because it does not make predictions. It could be anything. If you say it could be designed as creatures that all look alike or all do not look alike with DNA, that have nothing in common with each other, then both or all of these options can be a common designer, meaning it cannot be falsified. And that is why evolutionary theory is actual science, why the common designer interpretation is not. Second, you talk about you quote and talk about fossils, and I'm going to like recap it like really nicely. What I think what you mean from your video is that the fossils belonging to a certain species are mostly alive today, as in, you know, you find a lot of horses, thousands of horses, but you don't have thousands of every species before that. And there's a simple explanation for this, namely that fossilization isn't a process that just happens with any animal that dies. Don't forget that most animals die because they are eaten and digested. Thus, you know, the bones are gone. Only few find themselves in a situation where they have no predator nearby or die a natural death in a place that allows fossilization. And that's the reason why we don't find thousands of fossils of every species laying around all over the place, because most get eaten and most do not fall in a place where fossilization occurs. Even though, you know, I don't really completely understand your argument. It's not something that works against macroevolution. Third quote, intermediates scale to reptile. You say, the Sophidia has complete feathers. The Sophidia has modern feathers. We have modern animals with the same type of feathers, therefore these are not transitional feathers. According to the fossil record, scales evolved in feathers in one step. Unquote. This is not true. You have to look up things like proto-feathers, and you know, even the feather structures themselves is not the only indication, you know, that there's descent from scale from reptile to bird. If you look at feathers, there's multiple things they have in common. First of all, it's the fact that they both have beta keratin, something that nearly no other structure in any animal has. This means that it, but nearly most certainly, is a link between scales and feathers. Next, you have, well, as I said, proto-feathers. Look up dinosaurs with proto-feathers. These are feathers that have a relation to the feathers found today, but are not the same. And I also know that a lot of dinosaurs with protofeathers and other structures are not found yet because, as I said, fossilization doesn't occur 100% surety. It doesn't just happen all over the place with every creature. But I'm pretty certain that the longer we wait, the more fossils will be found that show these protofeathers and the differences. Um, I also disagree with the notion that the fossil record says they evolved in one step. It depends completely what you are looking for. Any kind of feather structure is, of course, a complete feather structure, but in its own way different from modern feather structures. There won't ever be half feathers found or any such nonsense. Again, look up proto-feathers. They are complete feathers, but not like the feathers found in modern birds today. I also want you to look up the evo-devo of feathers. Look it up on Google, and it explains how feathers came to be. It combines all the data we have about current feathers, current scales, and the fossil record and everything, and puts it together and uses it to explain how feathers evolved in a very, very coherent, good manner. You should read it. Just look it up on Google and you'll find it. Okay. Next quotes. About intermediate invertebrate to vertebrate. You say that 5 are 100% invertebrate and the last 2 are 100% vertebrate. But I only actually looked at the conodont animals, and what do I find in the literature? And I quote this from the literature. The animals lack skeletal parts except for the conodonts, which occur in the mouth region. There is an indication of a notochord. The muscle fields, the myomeres, on the trunk display a chevron-like pattern and a caudal fin appears to be present. These features indicate, indicate that the conodont animal was a chordate, which is the zoological group to which vertebrates belong, but not a vertebrate itself. Unquote. They are not counted as vertebrates, in other words. It belongs to the vertebrate zoological group, but they are not vertebrates. And what more do you want? Okay, last quote. About the appendix. I quote you, according to evolution, the appendix had a major function in the past, but we lost that function as a consequence of evolution. Can you prove that our ape-like ancestors had a more useful appendix? No, therefore it cannot be science. I disagree, because if you look at the appendixes now in apes, in monkeys, in humans, in gorillas, and compare them to other animals, you'll find that there are very many similarities. Again, this is the same issue as the DNA. The similarities prove that they have a connection with each other. If we didn't find these similarities, then they would be completely different organs. But let me just say, all these have lymphoid tissue. Our little stubs, vestigial parts, have lymphoid tissue, and the large ones we find in animals, the complete ones. This already by itself proves that fully developed, and as they are found in our species, smaller and less capable and constantly inflamed. It is a clear indication that it used to be larger and better, as is seen in most other animals. But wait, there's more. These other animals have bacteria in the appendix to ferment things like cellulose in large quantities. The appendix is the only place that allows this. Guess what? Our appendix has that remnant as well, though in its smaller state, in its vestigial state, only a very small amount of cellulose can be digested. And that's about it. I hope I answered some questions. If not, ask again. I hope I'm very clear. If not, just kick me. Have a nice day.